Hey y'all, and welcome back to another new video. So for today's video, I'm going to be talking about Hatstalls, and this is just going to be a really quick video. I'm going to basically explain what they are, explain about the Hatstalls that we know exist, and yeah, it's just going to be a short little video to explain the concept in a little bit more depth. And definitely let me know in the comments below if there's any other concepts that you want me to explain that are probably too long for just like a 1-minute TikTok, because that's the great thing about YouTube, is that my videos can be more than 1 minute long. So a Hatstall is a term for any new student whose sorting takes longer than 5 minutes. And this is an exceptionally long time for the sorting hat by his own standards. So think back to Draco Malfoy, who they said the hat had barely even touched his head when it announced Slytherin. And when Seamus Finnegan got sorted, it was 1 minute, and that was even like kind of long. Like people were like, oh wow, it took him a whole minute to be sorted. So Hatstalls are very rare for it to take over 5. And this only happens like once every 50 years, so it's really uncommon. And Hermione and Neville came closest to Hatstalls of like all of the characters we see in the series, but they weren't actually Hatstalls. So for Hermione, the hat wasn't sure between Gryffindor and Ravenclaw for her, which I think makes sense because Ravenclaws are very intelligent, but basically like Ravenclaws are a bit more creative and open-minded, and I think the Sorting Hat decided maybe she was a little bit too like by the books, by the rules to be a Ravenclaw. Like think about Luna. Like Luna's very like free thinking, and Hermione's a little bit more like book smart. And the idea that like Ravenclaws are the only people that are smart is like obviously not true. Like if all 3 other houses were like failing all their classes, like that wouldn't be possible. So there's definitely like book smart students in every house, and Ravenclaws may be more about like being witty or creative. So that's why I decided on Gryffindor, because she was brave, she valued bravery, all that kind of stuff. And then for Neville, the house wasn't sure whether to put him in Gryffindor or I think in Hufflepuff, because Neville actually wanted to be put into Hufflepuff, but the hat knew that he was brave and wanted to put him in Gryffindor. So like Neville was trying to convince the hat to put him in Hufflepuff, and Hufflepuff was like, or the hat was like, heck no, you are a Gryffindor, which I think is sweet. So basically it took so long because he was like battling up there with the hat, and the hat finally won. And the only true Hatstalls that is known personally to Harry is Minerva McGonagall and Peter Pettigrew. So for Minerva, it took 5.5 minutes, deciding, very similar to Hermione, between Gryffindor and Ravenclaw. And for Peter, it took, I don't know exactly how long it took, but it was deciding between Gryffindor and Slytherin. And this is something so interesting to me, guys. So a lot of people think Peter should have been in Slytherin because he was willing to do whatever it took to be successful. I mean, kind of in a slimy way, but like obviously he was an opportunist. You can't deny that. And people definitely underestimated him. Like they all thought he was an idiot, and obviously like kind of wasn't, because he finessed his way for a pretty long time. But the hat views Peter Pettigrew's death as evidence of his bravery, and I think this is so interesting. So the reason that Peter dies, it's left out of the movie, so you know, if you haven't read the 7th book recently, you might have just like forgotten. So basically, like, when Peter comes down to see what the commotion in, like, the dungeon is when they arrive at, like, Malfoy Manor, Ron and Harry grab him, and he's, like, gonna kill them, but they, like, tell them, like, you owe me, you know, like, remember 4 years ago, 3 years ago, whatever, when I saved your life. And so Peter hesitates, basically meaning that for a minute there, he was considering defying Voldemort, or he was going to defy Voldemort. And he was going to kind of choose maybe what he actually thought was right over just doing whatever Voldemort said. And that's when his golden hand, or his silver hand, or whatever it was made of, strangled him to death. And so the hat views this death as evidence of his bravery, which, I mean, I don't know if I'm fully sold, but I just think that's interesting. Because at least in the end, according to the hat, he was brave enough to defy Voldemort. So I don't know if that really sells me that he was a brave person or not, but that's the hat's logic. But maybe the hat just doesn't want to admit that it made a mistake. I don't know. You guys should totally let me know what you think in the comments, and definitely give this video a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe. And until next time, bye y'all.